kick a guy out if he made a mental error. So the guy that jumped off sides is in the huddle to take the knee. And I said, get out. And he's like, what? We're just taking the knee. I was like,
a couple of minutes are left, and Shadeur tries to go on the field, and Stefanski puts Tyler Huntley in place of him. Excruciating to watch what they're trying to do to Shadeur. Again, they're still trying to teach him a lesson.
Has had enough of the NFL trying to humiliate his son Shadeur, and he's now going on the offensive and calling out the lies, the smear campaigns, and the league insiders who've been working overtime to sabotage Shadeur. And at the center of all this is allegedly the NFL's golden boy family, the Mannings. Now here's where Peyton Manning's name gets dragged into this. Peyton isn't just a retired QB. He's NFL royalty. His family has influence in locker rooms, front offices, and even in how media narratives get spun. If the league wants to protect its image, it uses guys like Peyton as the safe, smiling contrast. And right now, the contrast is Deion Sanders. He's flashy, outspoken, unapologetically Deion's son. In other words, the perfect target.
GOAT NFL team.
Whoever picks me.
GOAT athlete.
Shadeur Sanders.
GOAT musician.
Deion Sanders Jr.
GOAT actor.
Deion Sanders.
GOAT TV show.
Post Prime.
Give us your best SI cover pose.
Yeah.
So now there's this theory among fans and even some analysts that the NFL establishment is punishing the Sanders family for thinking they can be bigger than the system. And it looks like Deion sees this for what it is. This isn't just about his son, it's about power, image, and who gets to define the future of the league. But if you thought primetime was going to bow down to the Manning dynasty, think again.
He's gonna be straight. All the Sanders are gonna be straight, with or without football. You better believe that. You better believe that. I take care of mine, and I've always have, and y'all know what I mean. You better believe that.
All right, let's talk about this theory that Peyton Manning is allegedly plotting against the Sanders family. As you all know, Peyton isn't just another retired QB. He is the standard. He is the polished, corporate-friendly, white picket fence image of what an NFL quarterback is supposed to look like. He's the family dynasty, the brand that ESPN worships. So when Shadeur comes in brash, bold, rocking jewelry, talking with his father's swagger, the league doesn't just see a different kind of QB. They see a direct threat to the Manning blueprint. And if you think that sounds dramatic, look at the results. Shadeur was mocked as a first rounder. Then rumors about his attitude, his interviews, and even his character started popping up everywhere. Suddenly, he free falls to pick 144. So whether or not Peyton Manning ever lifted a finger, the effect is the same. The Manning model stands tall, the Sanders legacy gets clipped. If you want to see how narratives get weaponized, just look at what happened to Shadeur in the lead up to the draft. This wasn't just honest scouting. This was a full-on smear campaign, and people inside the game said it out loud.
I also predicted 2 months ago that Shadeur Sanders would become the biggest target in this year's draft, the most hyper-criticized and picked-apart player in this draft, unfairly and wrongly so, but I predicted this would happen.
Now fast forward to the preseason finale against the Los Angeles Rams, and Shadeur was unexpectedly sidelined with just over 2 minutes remaining. And you know this was a critical juncture for any quarterback aiming to prove himself. Despite being in a prime position to lead a potential game-winning drive, Sanders was pulled in favor of backup Tyler Huntley.
To go with Tyler Huntley to lead them on their final drive down by 1 point with 2 minutes to go, which Browns head coach insists didn't have anything to do with Sanders' play.
I just felt like we wanted to give Snoop a last drive. Plan was to go with Snoop there, so but I wouldn't make any more of it than that.
This move sparked huge backlash against the Browns coach, Kevin Stefanski. But he claimed that his decision was about strategy, and he shut down this theory that he's deliberately undermining Shadeur's development.
I don't concern myself with outside type of things, but I'm committed to his development, just like all of our rookies. So we'll continue to focus on getting our guys better, and that's what we'll stay committed to, and that's what's important to me.
And did you, I'm sure you kind of answered this last night, but why didn't you keep him in for the 2 minute, or why did you decide to take him out?
Yeah, nothing more than decided to give Snoop some work at the end of the game.
But despite what Stefanski said, the optics are pretty bad. The timing of that benching, right after Shadeur had a rough outing, just 3 of 6 passes for 14 yards and getting sacked 5 times, it all made it feel less like coaching and more like sabotage. And many fans saw it as the Browns pulling the plug when Shadeur needed reps the most. And that's the bigger issue. Instead of building him up, it looks like the team is yanking him around, which raises real questions about whether the organization is actually invested in his growth.
Let's give him a chance. Let's give him a chance with the play calling. You know you have an offensive line that isn't playing that well. So what do? Why not just play the short game so he can get the ball out of his hands very fast to run a competent goddamn offense? Outside of that, Shadeur has to be better in understanding that the offensive line that you're working with right now is not adequate. Why not allow the players that are competing for a job, in this instance, Shadeur Sanders, to finish off the 2-minute drill? Who makes that call? He makes that call. Why? Because I want the last thing people to see is the mistakes and the sacks that happen and not give him a chance to redeem himself. Because I think probably what would have happened, okay, we can't have Shadeur come in here and finish this 2-minute drive and go down and get a touchdown. We don't want that. And in chat, for those of you who are listening and watching, I'm not making an excuse for him. He played bad. But I can tell you why he played bad. I mean, if you know the game of football and understand the game of football, understand that those that are in there with him during that time.
But Shadeur isn't the only Sanders facing heat. His younger brother Shiloh has also been caught up in this debate about questionable coaching decisions. In case you missed it, Shiloh got into it recently with Bills tight end Zach Davidson. After the play, Zach grabbed Shiloh's face mask after the whistle. And that should have been a flag right there, or at least the ref stepping in to break it up. But that's not what happened. Instead, Shiloh reacted, threw a punch, and the second he did that, Zach flipped into victim mode. Like he's the one who just got attacked out of nowhere. And get this, just 1 day later, news broke that Shiloh was waived by the Tampa Bay Bucks. What's also messed up is that Tampa Bay coach Todd Bowles didn't even bother to back Shiloh up. All he said was that Shiloh's actions were inexcusable. And he didn't even mention that Zach was the one who started it and grabbed Shiloh's face mask.
On tape.
What'd you say to Shiloh Sanders after that ejection?
Well, you know you can't throw punches in this league. I mean, that's inexcusable. They're gonna get you every time. Got to grow from that.
And then what did you say to the officials after that? It looked like you were possibly trying to argue with them.
We're talking about another play.
And look, nobody's mad about Shiloh getting flagged and tossed. That comes with throwing a punch. But what people are mad about is the ref standing right there, watching Zach Davidson grab Shiloh's face mask way after the play was dead, and somehow no flag. Nothing. You can't tell me that's not a double standard. Now here's the common thread. Shadeur and Shiloh are sons of Deion Sanders, a force in football who doesn't play by the league's rules. For years, Deion has been a thorn in the NFL establishment side, building programs, challenging conventional wisdom, and publicly calling out hypocrisy in coaching, management, and media. Remember when he called out all the teams by name when they didn't show up to Jackson State's pro day?
24 teams came to witness our kids yesterday in its entirety, and I appreciate you. But there's 32 teams in this Crayola box. Therefore, the Dolphins, the Broncos, the Texans, the Bills, the Buccaneers, the Ravens, the Panthers, the Browns, the Vikings, and the Eagles. Where art thou? You could have sent somebody, man. You could have shown up just a little bit. But I guarantee you that you're gonna go to Mississippi State and Ole Miss. I guarantee you're gonna show up there. I understand. You saying they have more talent. I understand. Guess what? We coming.
So now, some insiders are floating this theory about NFL collusion against the Sanders family. Now, this doesn't mean there's a secret meeting where they talk about how to destroy Shadeur and Shiloh. Well, at least we don't have direct proof of that. But this whole network of league insiders, scouts, and media gatekeepers who control perception, they know Deion Sanders represents a threat. They see the family brand as flashy, cocky, and uncontrollable. And the easiest way to keep the status quo is to make sure the next generation Sanders Sanders don't get a fair shake. Shadeur's late game benching, the hit-and-miss coaching support, and Shiloh's own criticisms fit into this narrative. The theory is that the NFL higher-ups are using subtle sabotage like strategic mismanagement, narrative manipulation, and timing of critiques to send a message to black athletes about what will happen to them if they challenge the system. Remember what Bob McNair, the owner of the Houston Texans NFL team, said during the Colin Kaepernick kneeling controversy? He compared black players protesting to inmates running a prison.
In a discussion about player protests during the national anthem, Houston Texans owner Bob McNair said, quote, "We can't have the inmates running the prison." Excuse me?
And that pretty much says it all, especially after watching that Zach Davidson shove Shiloh several times openly, and then Shiloh gets punished for defending himself. Just another of the many examples of the establishment working against Deion and his family. Whether you call it conspiracy, coincidence, or just the brutal politics of professional football, the Sanders brothers are navigating a league that seems determined to test every ounce of their talent and their patience. Now, as for that Peyton Manning angle, no one is saying he's literally plotted to end Shadeur Sanders' career. But for the NFL higher-ups, Peyton represents the old guard, the polished, media-friendly, obedient superstar the league loves to showcase. He's the symbol of what works in the NFL. And standing across from that is Deion Sanders, the coach who refuses to bend and whose very presence challenges the establishment. And Deion doesn't take BS from anyone.
Hey, Deion, was just wondering if you could...
hold on, let's back up a little bit. You don't call Nick Saban Nick. Don't call me Deion now, okay?
I call Nick Saban Nick.
Yeah, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't. That's a lie. If you call Nick Nick, you know you get cussed out on the spot. So don't do that to me. Treat me like Nick.
Okay, Deion.
All right.
So when Shadeur and Shiloh hit the field and faced late game benchings, inconsistent coaching, and personality critiques timed perfectly to undermine them, it's easy to see why some folks think this is collusion. And this isn't some secret Manning versus Sanders conspiracy happening. It's bigger than that. It's symbolic. The league is protecting the old playbook, the Peyton Manning model, and anyone who dares to flip the script automatically gets treated like a threat. But Deion is not letting this get to him, and he already made it clear that his boys will be fine with or without the league.
About, NFL is a tough business. Shiloh had, some bad. It's just have you talked to him and how are his spirits?
Oh, most definitely. He's my son. I'm proud of my kids, all of them, and I prepared my kids for any and everything that could possibly happen in life and in sports. That's part of fathering. That's part of parenting. That's part of having a relationship. So he is mentally where he needs to be, physically where he needs to be. We're praying that he gets another opportunity to go with a team. But if he doesn't, the plans have already been put forward to what he's going to do next. So Shiloh is a man of many talents. I don't know if you guys know, he's a man of many talents, and he's going to be straight. All the Sanders are going to be straight, with or without football. You better believe that. You better believe that. I take care of mine, and I've always have, and y'all know what I mean. You better believe that.
So at the end of the day, this isn't just about football. It's about who controls the story, who shapes perception, and who actually gets opportunity in the NFL. And the double standard is as clear as day. When Archie Manning was stepping up to defend his sons, Peyton and Eli, he was praised for protecting the brand and looking out for the family. But when Deion Sanders stands up for Shadeur and Shiloh, suddenly he's meddling. He's making it worse. The message is basically, know your place and be quiet. And that's not just different parenting styles, that's politics. And the message couldn't be louder. One family gets respect, the other gets told to fall in line. One fan on X said, Deion standing on business for his children. Nothing was said when old Archie Manning was the driving force behind his two knuckleheads, actually was a part in where his boys went to college at, got drafted, and what round. Nobody talks about that, SMH. And someone else added, when Archie Manning does it, it's a great management of his kids. But when it's Deion, a flashy black man who does it, got it. Well, what do you think? Is the NFL really sabotaging the Sanders legacy, or is this just part of the brutal business every rookie faces? Drop your thoughts in the comments, share your receipts, and I'll see you in this next video.